6.
Do you know what a biopsy is? What's a biopsy?
It's where they take tissue samples of a certain area and they take it in for testing and see what's going on.
It saddens me that you have to know that at such a young age.
Not even my class knows what a transplant is.
So, because what you're not going to do, because I got a whole interview to finish and a whole conversation to finish, you're not going to have me in tears, okay?
Okay.
So, you've endured about 6 biopsies?
Recently. It's probably been more than 24 over the last decade.
So you've had about 6 recently, but over in some time, it's been over 24 biopsies, at least. We're going to say at least, right? At least 24 different testings and samplings and of your body, of your 10-year-old body. That is ridiculous to me. I don't know where that can be lawful. Especially,
it should be illegal.
Especially the fact that this was done to her. I'm just... So, let me just finish with you and then I'm going to get with Mommy. So, explain to me the biopsies. Even if you can't, we can't talk about the whole 24. But tell me about within the last 6. Can you tell me about how you...
Well, the most recent 2 was when I was admitted into the hospital for what we believed was chickenpox. But even though I had an immunity to it, it eventually got so bad that the first one, I had an allergic reaction to one of the medicines that they used because the gas mask kept giving me these weird hallucinations. And it wasn't very effective because I was still, awake. I still knew I was awake, but it felt like I was not in control over my own emotions.
You said you felt like you were sitting in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean? You felt like you were sitting in the dark?
Remember that movie Get Out?
That's what I'm saying. Like
it was into the
like hallucinations, like someone have you on a trance or hypnotized.
Mm-hmm.
So
I
want
was
you to
just
explain.
sitting there like this in a really, really dark room, and then the only place that I can see was technically myself, like from a third person type of view.
So take me back to that place. Where were we? What hospital were we in?
We were after our encounter with Chop, we transferred her care to Nemours, AI DuPont Hospital for Children in Delaware.
In Delaware?
Yes.
Delaware.
We were under their care for 8 years. We just recently transferred our care from with them.
To Pittsburgh.
Okay.
So this particular biopsy, she was given a nitrous gas mask.
Are you allowed in the room during this? Obviously not, because
Well,
it's a surgical procedure.
No, actually, the last 2, they didn't allow me in the room because they called Child Protective Services, so they had to use the regular standard of care. But the ones prior to that, I was allowed in.
They called Child Protective Services on you.
Yes,
because they wanted to kill me, and then my mom didn't allow that to happen, so... And then Dr. Dunn got all in his feels.
Dr. who?
Dr. Dunn.
Say it again.
Dr. Stephen
No, look
Dunn.
right here. Look right there.
Dr. Stephen Dunn.
Is that the name?
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Stephen Dunn, D-U-N-N, you believe was trying to kill you.
And then he got all in his feelings because
You gonna make me rip these tracks out, baby. This is too much.
Because my mom had an actual encounter when she was young with DHS because that's where she basically grew up. And then he was like, I'm sorry, I just got really angry. I was very mad. I let my emotions get the best of me, but you've been doing this for 10 years. How did that happen?
I'm sorry, say that again. Say it again from the beginning. Because I don't think they heard you. This is. You have my camera, folks, my partner. You have her ready to cry. This is heavy. So, Dr. Dunn says what?
I'm sorry, I let my emotions get the best of me. I was just angry. But you've been doing this for 10 years.
He said he lets his emotions get the best of him when?
When he called DHS on my mom, because my mom, when she was younger, she actually had a visit to DHS when she was young, because that's actually where she was for most of her life. But he was like, I'm sorry, I let my anger get the best of me. I feel like I've opened a wound that I never should have. But you've been doing this to me for 10 years. 10 years! Why are you all of a sudden all sad now?
Because he realized that Child Protective Services was not going to get behind the allegations that he made. In his complaint to Child Protective Services, he alleged that I had something called Munchausen syndrome by proxy. Munchausen syndrome is a mental disorder that some mothers or parents carry when they purposely make their children sick. He told them that I was purposely making my daughter sick because I was refusing to give her a drug that I scientifically proved was causing damage to her transplanted organ.
Well, making me cry, you did it. You got me. Okay.
And after we went into the hospital, we were medically kidnapped for 10 days.
No, you say medically kidnapped.
Medically kidnapped, because what doctors do is they use Child Protective Services as a retaliatory mechanism against patients. Child Protective Services will then get involved and they take the recommendations of the doctors and they force the parents to follow those recommendations, even if those recommendations could potentially kill or harm a child.
They even had me with a child.
So when you, let's get back to, you thought that Dr. Dunn, because I ain't forget his name, Dr. Dunn and Dr. Dunn was from what hospital? DuPont in Delaware. You thought that he was going to kill you. What makes you think that he was going to kill you? Because listen to me, Ladybug, that's major. That's for you to be 10. What you've endured, my lady. I want to say my hat goes off to you, but it shouldn't. You the way you talk better than, and you speak with such edification and you know, articulation of that of someone who is so much older than you. You've endured so much more than adults my age and older have endured. It's almost like, and I want you to look at me, it's almost like this has become your norm. Are you aware that this is not normal? Mm-hmm. That, like, this is not what a 10-year-old, you shouldn't even be able to discuss this with me. You should be like, huh? What is this medication? I don't know what this does. I don't know. Do you know what your medications do? Which each one does, or supposedly does. At this point, I don't know what to believe.
They're supposed to suppress rejection or something. Like, they say, like, my liver is going into rejection, like how it's basically aborting itself, but the only reason that's happening is because I'm on too much immunosuppression right now. Like, that's the only reason my liver is ejecting from its system.
So do you get why I'm saying that this is heavy? This is a lot. This is too much that you know. So what makes you say, because you say it with certainty, that Dr. Dunn was trying to kill you? What happened? What do you remember taking place? What do you remember seeing? What do you remember hearing? If you were to go right back to that place, if you were to close your eyes with me. If you were to close your eyes and we give you a few moments, can you actually see that room with your eyes closed? You can see this room. What do you see? Keep your eyes closed.
I see myself sitting on a bed with my mom, and then Dr. Dunn comes in to explain that if we don't do the biopsy, we'll never know what's wrong with me, or basically blackmailing my mom. And he said, I took a shot in the dark with my own life. And then I just broke out in tears saying, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Repeating it over and over again. And then I remember being taken into the biopsy room, and I'm like, why is my mom not here? And then they tried to give me the gas mask, but I know I'm allergic to that. And then I say, I'm not supposed to have the gas mask, and I'm in here freaking out, screaming, I'm not supposed to have the gas mask. And then they're trying to soothe me, saying, what's your favorite color? And I'm like, can you please tell me when you're going to put the propofol in? And then all of a sudden, I feel something cold rush through my veins, and I'm like, oh, the propofol. And then I slowly start zooming off to sleep. I wake up in a bunch of hives, screaming, it itches, and crying, and saying, if this is halfway what Jessica went through, then just put me in the ground with her.
Mm-mm. And that's a real experience. And he told me in front of my daughter that he took a shot in the dark.
That's not supposed to happen.
With her life. After they gave me false information and held us in the hospital for 10 days.
A shot in the dark.
Our will.
Can we take a break? I need some tissue. Can we take a break until we come back?
Okay.
This is not... It hurts my heart. Sincerely.
It's normal for me, but it's not normal for others.
It shouldn't be normal for you. Mom.
This is my fight. This is my fight.
Okay.
I was fortunate because a lot of people who have CPS called on them, they don't have their babies.
Jessica and Aiden.
Little mama, go get untied tissue.
Okay.
Go. Go get me some tissue. So, Mom, let's go back with you. Because you've told your story. Wow.
Medical abuse is a real thing. And no one talks about it.
Because, you know, it's so easy to manipulate a child.
Yes.
They weren't predicting her.
No.
It doesn't sound like they were predicting her to survive.
No, she's not supposed to be here. She was never supposed to be here.
So let's talk about that. She was never supposed to be here. Yes. Whenever you're ready. She was never supposed to be here. Meaning, do you believe, thank you, Stink. Do you believe that, oh God, y'all got me going.
The first transplant wasn't supposed to happen.
But do you believe when they did the test on her, because the test was done during when you were nursing.
Yes.
You were nursing her. Mm-hmm. They gave you a medication that was supposed to treat UTI.
Yes. That
during the time when you're nursing, you're not supposed to have.
Yes.
That's what caused the allergic reaction to the baby.
Yes.
So once I'm missing the connection from the time, and I want you to take me back. They give you a medication they presume is do we believe that when you so-called had the UTI that they already knew she had a rare blood type and that she knew all these things? Do we believe that?
There's a newborn screening that's done, and at the time that they do the newborn screening, I believe they do a HLA matching and blood type for the baby.
HLA matching.
Yes.
Okay.
So at that time they did her blood type and screening, so they knew what her blood type was, which is a rare blood type of B positive.
Before we cut off live, because we're getting ready to cut off live because we're going to finish filming from the other camera so that we can actually cut and edit and do everything that we need to do. I simply want to encourage, if you guys can hear me, I don't know. I simply encourage you guys to tag, share, and tell everybody, like, this is not a game. Clearly, we see the medications. This is not a game. We've seen the baby. These are all her, this is only a little bit of her medications. There's a whole bag somewhere I think we had. These are all the baby's I'm going to pull these out. Is that okay? Okay.
Pour them on the table.
So these are all this baby's. This is all of her medications. Okay. This baby. I'm sorry. I'm a clean up. Listen. These are all of this baby's medications at 10 years of age. Give me this stink doodle. All of this, right, at 10. Some of you guys can't even take a vitamin daily. Some of you guys couldn't imagine, can't stick to. But without these medications, she's not here. We don't get to interview.
So the decision was made at the moment that they saw her and they knew that her organ could potentially fail. They made the choice for me. This is a cash cow. She's gonna pay us through Big Pharma for the rest of her life.
She's gonna pay for this, being as though we didn't get a chance to kill her. We didn't get to kill Assiah. Assiah, please walk out. I don't want to say this. I know you're very mature, but I don't like that how mature you are. It bothers me. So we can't kill her. We didn't get a chance to kill her because Mom wasn't some dumb black young girl. Okay? Like, we're going to keep it funky. Mom wasn't some dumb black young girl that we thought we might have had. She actually had some brains. In fact, went to college. Didn't go to college for this, but now she might as well go on and get her own MD. By fate, I'm going to say, or calling, or she was chosen to do it. But Mom, you weren't some dumb ratchet black girl. You had a little bit of brains. We can't kill Assiah now, because if we kill Assiah, oh my God,
the rest of the world is watching.
The rest of the world, she's shed too much light. Facebook, Instagram at this point, because now everybody has a platform. Yeah. So we can't kill her, but what we'll do is we will continue to give her medications that if there is any rejections to any of these, I don't even know how many pills we're looking at here, because some of these say she needs to take multiple a day. Yep. This says take 4 tabs by mouth daily. This says take 4 tabs by mouth daily. This says take 1.5 tabs by mouth daily. Is this okay if I do this on camera? Okay. This says take 0.3 milliliters by mouth daily. This is take 2 capsules. You know, there are people with HIV and AIDS that don't take this many medications. So what happens is you get all these medications. We couldn't kill her. So what we do is we flush all these pills down so that when her body rejects, we bring her back to the hospital, because Mom's going to have to trust somebody to save her child. And then we take more testing and more samples, because ultimately she's a guinea pig. Yeah. I mean, no disrespect, you know. Right. No disrespect. But ultimately is she still down here? No. Ultimately she's a lab rat. And you know, personally, you know I don't mean that with no disrespect. I know. But because I can't help but think of Dr. Doolittle. You know, and again, may God be my witness. You know me. You know I don't mean that with any malicious intent. But Dr. Doolittle, you know, they got these lab specimens and rats, and they're trying all these different things, and now she is a human lab rat. And it all started at CHOP, which is one of the hospitals that we proclaim to be the best, the absolute. I mean, soon as something, a trauma happens with the kid, we rush them to CHOP, or we take them to what's the other one? St. Christopher's, and if it's that bad,
Christopher's was our designated hospital, because at the time I gave birth, I had Health Partners HMO insurance. We were supposed to go to St. Chris's, but I said there's no way I'm taking my kid there. We're going to CHOP, because
CHOP is the best.
And it was the worst decision I ever made in my life.
Do you regret that decision?
I absolutely do.
You regret taking her to CHOP, which is the best hospital in the city of Philadelphia.
I absolutely do.
So we're going to cut this live here. We'll continue to film here. Is that okay? Yeah. Because we have a lot more to cover. But tell everyone where they can go to support you. I don't have millions of viewers, but one thing for certain I can tell you, Rasheena, is my viewers stand up. You hear me? They love the transparency and the rawness. And when I tell you, they will stand up and they will share this. I'm going to tell you that they're going to share it. I know they're going to share this. So right now, I am telling you, for those of you who are just joining, I don't even care if you didn't even hear the whole entire, this portion of the interview, because this isn't the end. But if you know anything about Tyshanique, if you know anything about the great you, if you know anything about Rasheena, then you know this is 100% shareable. Just the fact that we're together. So I'm going to encourage you, those who have heard, definitely you should have shared. Because it's not about me, it's not about Rasheena, it's about getting the message out. You've gone on multiple platforms and different shows. I'm so sorry I tore all these bills out. But you've gone on different shows.
Yes.
And most of the shows, and no shade.
I mean, I've reached out to producers for certain networks and certain platforms, and
These are the ones we leave out, right?
Yeah, and I've asked for them to give us a platform and give us an opportunity to really share the raw and authentic story behind Assiah's Liver Fund and how it came to be, and no one ever wants to touch it.
Well, baby, I'm touching it today, honey. Okay, we're gonna touch that thing today, honey, because they can't silence me. And many people tried to silence you. Am I correct? So, can we throw @ signs there or no? No, because if I can't, you just give me the wink. Give me a side eye.
As far as who has tried to silence me, we're dealing with several things in the federal court because of what happened to Assiah. We did pursue a personal injury case, and through that, there have been a series of court orders that have come down that have tried to silence us and keep the fraudulent information concealed within the court.
We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about, you've been on different television shows and people have given you an opportunity, but I want us to get really, really real. Once we shut this one down, because there we can always edit or do whatever we need to do. Yeah. But here we're going to shut it down right now, but I want you to tell everybody, and Assiah, come here.
Hey everybody, if you want to find out more details about us or you want to check us out online, you can always go visit us at assiahsliverfund.org. If you see the poster in the back, it says Assiah's Liver Fund. Her name is also tagged in the caption of this video. It is very simple. Again, assiahsliverfund.org. Or if you would like to make any contributions, you can do them there through our website, or you can visit us at gofundme.com/Assiah's Liver. We've been raising a substantial amount of money to turn Assiah's children's book into a live puppet production. We've also been touring across the country, sharing her journey, raising awareness about the life-saving efforts of organ transplantation and donation. Because let's be real, the real honest reason why Assiah does have a life to even show for is because of organ and tissue donation. So it's a very important cause to get behind, but also in getting behind it, we're also pushing new agendas and new standards of care through the medical industry as it relates to the therapeutic drug regimens that they are giving to specific groups of patients. So get behind us, you guys. Stand behind us by sharing this video, reposting the information to your web pages, to your social media platforms, and also tuning in and staying updated through our subscription mailing list about events and various things that we're doing with our organizational causes.
One other thing before we cut, because we're going to cut that off, Saya, and then we're going to leave that one on, but we're going to cut this one off. If you could say anything to the doctors, anything at all. Have you ever done this before? Is it okay, Mom? Because I'm still a mom. I got to ask permission, even though I'm unorthodox. I'm just raging. But if you could say anything through that camera, through the doctors, what would, and what was this lady name that started this research? Because she heads the research now.
Elizabeth Rand.
Elizabeth Rand. I'm saved. So I ain't going to say it on this camera. But what would you say to the doctors?
Please burn.
Okay. Well, please burn. Why would you say please burn?
Why you kill my Jessica?
Why you killed Jessica? What about you?
And why you target me? Why you do this to me? I want it to be normal. I can't ever wake up and be normal. I have to wake up and take medicine for the rest of my life. So that's why.
Every time you do stuff like that, you make me cry. Can you get away from me? So you heard it here. Assiah, what you want to say to the viewers?
Follow me on Instagram.
Follow her. See, she's still a kid. She's still a kid. So when you say, real fast, when you say you'll never be normal, so she's never going to be able to get off of the medications?
No.
So this is a lifetime of this.
For the rest of her life.
My bubbles.
So she'll be on Rapamune, prednisone, Rapamune. Why are they giving her so much Rapamune?
Oh, she's allergic to it.
Why if she allergic? Why are they giving all these? There's a bunch of pills of Rapamune.
It's disgusting.
And why does she have so much prednisone? And what's this?
Well, the prednisone is steroid They gave the
That's the same
steroid.
story. You didn't want to give her the steroid when she was a baby. When she had the first allergic
They
reaction.
were withholding steroids for years.
When she was 15 days, you didn't want to give her. You told her, come back. See, I listened. You know, I listened. And this is...
Immuron. And we've actually had this one discontinued. Because that was the one that was damaging her liver for 5 years.
Stop.
Since transplant in 2012. That's the one they called Child Protective Services on me for.
They call... Okay, we're going to cut the lot, though. So we're going to cut this because we got to keep going because I want to know about why did they call Child Protective Services, CPS, on you as a mom. Like, this is a real story. This is like a horror movie.
Yes.
Seriously.
It is.
Not, you know...
What they did to my daughter has changed the dynamics of my life forever. I will always be at risk for some form of medical abuse as it relates to my
You should talk
child.
about your dreams.
But even more so, what about, do you think, because if she has to go to doctors today, if she had to go to the hospital today, what are your fears? Because everybody knows about, and what hospital would you take her to? What hospital would you trust?
Well,
Go to
I
bed,
would
honey.
have
Give
to
me
take
her.
her.
All right.
Love you, baby. See you, pretty girl.
But I don't want to go to sleep.
Well, let me talk to mommy, okay?
If I had to take her to the hospital and it was like emergency type of visit, the only place that I would take her is St. Chris's. And from St. Chris's, she would have to be medically transferred, emergency transferred by airlift to Pittsburgh where her transplant
Airlift?
If it's transplant related type care that she needs.
And you have the authority now, because even though they called CPS on you before, you still have the authority to do that. Because I know recently they just took some rights from you.
That's involving legal rights in the federal lawsuit related to settlement. But as far as my parental rights of custody, care, control, and education and different things like that, or medical decisions, they have no right to infringe upon that because by court order it is protected.
Mom, can I watch
But see,
TV?
what I learned through this federal lawsuit is that lawyers and judges are given unconstitutional rights to infringe upon the lives of minors and elderly people in their best interest. And best interest does not fall under a legal category. Best interest could be anyone simply stepping into a legal proceeding involving another person and their competence or a minor's rights and saying, hey, I think this is what's best for that person. And a judge can consider it.
You have shed so much light, but we're going to cut this off because we're going to finish taping. So I want to say goodnight to all of my viewers, and to Rasheena's viewers, and to now Assiah's viewers. We're going to finish this conversation. You guys will be able to see the entire interview within about a week or so, or less than that, because Shireen's just a beast. But send some hearts her way. Send some hearts. Project positivity. This is not something that should be taken lightly.
Right.
This is something that could have happened to anyone. It just so happened, and I'm so proud of you. Seriously. This could have killed somebody else mentally. I mean, you don't know who's targeting you.
Yeah.
I mean, not just in the hospitals. You don't know, people got large pockets.
Yeah.
And in the right pocket they go in, you never know who's really targeting you.
Yeah.
Or who's out to get you, because you still have a open lawsuit. Am I correct?
Correct.
And if I'm not mistaken, this lawsuit is for a lot of money. But forget the money; it's a lot of livelihoods that's at stake. Yes. A lot of doctors who will lose their licenses. A lot of malpractices. A lot of different hospitals who will be responsible.
Because from this case, if exposure is actually brought to the
that was a lot.
When exposure actually comes to the actions and conduct of the individuals that engaged in what happened to my child, we're talking a criminal ring. Criminal charges will follow. People will go to jail.
Indictment.
Yes.
So do we believe we're almost there?
where I am right now, I will say that the most recent filings that have gone to the court is enough to raise congressional issues. And the congressional issue that has to be decided will soon involve testimony and discovery of certain information regarding authority in this case.
Who do we need to? We need to call Ellen. We need to call Oprah. Who do we need to sit?
Their platform is not for something like this. What we're looking for.
But why? Explain to me why.
Because
you've been on platforms. You've been on TV shows.
Yeah. But when you're talking about brand, you're talking about brands of people who don't want to have anything to do with something that may involve a criminal indictment or something that may involve speculation. Because at this point, until the evidence is actually brought out in court, it's still alleged. And it's only still alleged because my attorneys were paid off by the United States government. They never presented or put forward.
That was
Gilbert Spencer.
Gil Spencer. See, I told you I did my research. So Gil Spencer, Derek Laser, those were your attorneys originally. Now you have a different set of attorneys now.
Derek Laser, I never hired. I never hired Derek Laser. Gilbert Spencer independently contracted him and then had this man file everything in my case. And he represented to the court like he was my attorney. And that's what's congressionally pending before the court right now. That this man did all of these fraudulent things
without your signature or approval.
There you go. And the court keeps trying to sweep it under the rug. That's why they took my rights in the case.
Why do we believe that they are sweeping this under the rug? Why do we believe that they won't just say, you know what, we're going to settle out of court?
Oh, no, because we're talking about a facility that's worth billions of dollars. Children's Hospital of Philadelphia is worth billions, not millions.
Billions. But why not say, you know what, Rasheena, you didn't took this long enough. And you know what, Rasheena? Here, we're going to give you $1 million and we're done. Why not do that?
No, because in their minds, who am I? Why would we dig in our pockets to give you that type of money? Who you going to tell?
Who is she?
Who's watching? We could do whatever we want.
You shouldn't have said that to me.
But that's what the mentality is.
Well, we're watching, aren't we? We're watching. And more people need to watch. More people need to watch. I'm actually appalled at the fact that this story is not reaching headlines. I don't know if and it's going to take. This is why I'm challenging my viewers. I'm challenging you guys to make this video go viral. I don't need it to go viral for me. I need you. I need Rasheena. And come here, Assiah, because you're supposed to be in bed. You don't listen. Cutie pie. I need you guys, I need Assiah to know that people are listening. In our culture, people don't support, people don't stand up until after the fact. I need them to show support now.
And that's the thing. People will start listening and they'll start sharing once they see me walking out my front door in handcuffs. You know,
the devil is a liar.
You know, the judge threatened to take legal action against me if I keep filing motions in my case. I have a legal right to file whatever pleading in court.
Are you kidding me?
I swear to God.
Said that he would. This is not funny. This is. I wish you were being facetious. So, the judge threatened.
Yes.
To put you behind bars.
He said he'll file a writ of mandamus to the higher appeals court to have me barred from filing things on the docket, and that he'll impose monetary sanctions or other. Other could be
what can be other?
The other could only be one thing.
Right.
You gonna have me arrested?
You gonna have me locked up? Like that's the only other. I mean, what else is outside of the? What's the other? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What is your fear right now? What is your greatest fear?
Mm-hmm. My greatest fear is, and I put up a video on my Facebook page addressing this and making a public statement in the event that something odd or strange were to happen. But my greatest fear is losing my life behind this. Because we're talking about federal agencies who have billions of dollars.
How does that make you feel, Assiah?
Sadness.
When you just hear come on this side, baby. When you hear mommy say, let me hold this for a second. When you hear mommy say, her fear is because you were listening. You don't listen. You don't want to go to bed. But when you hear mommy say, like, we're going to be serious, okay? When we hear mommy say, because that's, mommy is all, I mean, I don't know where daddy or whatever, but it's mommy is all I see. How does that make you feel when she says her greatest fear is if she's killed, murdered, her life is done over fighting for what has happened to you?
It makes me scared because sometimes I imagine that too, because then I know I'm going to be thrown into either a test tube or a hospital and experimented on. And killed too.
Who's going to take, who do you think would make sure you're okay if mommy is killed for this? Because this is a big thing. Mommy is shedding like, see, when mommy, I don't know if mommy fully understands, mommy is exposing a lot. Not just you, little mama, but mommy is exposing the practices of doctors and hospitals that have taken place far beyond you before you were even conceived or born. Mommy is taking a stand on something that is so much greater and bigger than you or mommy. And death can, I mean, you know, we look at Dr. Sebi, we look at these individuals who are killed after speaking. Martin Luther King, he spoke up. The people who take a stand.
Aaron Brockovich, the Pelican Brief.
They don't live long. They don't live long to see. Here's the thing. Those individuals like yourself who start movements, because this is what you've created, right? They don't get to live to see the results of what they fought for. Sadly. Now, we're going to denounce the enemy right now. But hands down, that's not going to happen because we have different resources now. We have things that shed light where, you know. But Assiah, if mommy's not here, what happens? Where do we go? Who takes care of Assiah?
Probably the government.
But mom, who takes care of Assiah?
I mean, I have a few close friends, and these are things that
This isn't family, you're saying?
No. I have a few close friends.
You didn't mention Dad.
Dad is actually the head of the Black Guns Matter movement. And,
Black Guns Matter?
yes.
I'm sorry. What's Black Guns Matter?
It is an organization that has an organizational mission of going into urban communities and educating African American people about their Second Amendment right to possess firearms.
Mm-hmm.
And they are supposed to train these individuals in communities about gun safety and responsible gun ownership.
So he has resources.
Yeah, absolutely.
And does he use the resources?
No, not properly.
Not for the benefit of her. I mean,
I haven't
right
seen
now,
my dad in at least a year.
I mean, right now,
Is it okay if she talks about this? No.
we
You want to
literally,
cut this off?
we literally,
We can edit it.
no, it's fine. We literally are, tied up in legal battles with him over child support and different.
Because it's so much. We're gonna have to do a part 2 here. Is that okay? Because there's absolutely no way we're gonna get all of one. Because I'm telling you, I got notes. Okay, we gonna talk. Because we're having a conversation. It's not an interview now. Yeah. It's a conversation. Mm-hmm. And when you get two mothers at a table and a child involved, we gonna talk. And then on top of it, we have medical issues. So Dad is not around.
Nope.
Assiah hasn't seen Dad in over a year, so she says.
Well, that's by happenstance. The last time she spent time with her dad, Assiah probably was 4 or 5 years
old. And Dad is full aware of what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, the first 2 years of Assiah's life, Dad wasn't around. He would give calls.
Can we at him? I need to at him.
He would give calls every few months.
I'm all about adding, but we got to get mommy's permission to add him.
We would get calls every few months from block phone numbers. Well, I mean, If people look up the Black Guns Matter movement, they will definitely know who he is. He's the face of it. You know?
Black Guns Matter. Step up for your daughter. Okay? She just said that. It wasn't me. But she just said she ain't seen daddy in over a year. Okay? This is... we're lucky that Assiah's alive. Even if everything you said was fabricated, let's just pretend everything you said was a lie. This don't lie.
Right.
This isn't a lie.
Right.
It's by the grace of God she's here today. And you don't want to step up Black Guns Matter, but you want to go teach people, you want to go teach people how to shoot a gun? No, Mom said something. You want to teach people how to shoot a gun, Black Guns Matter, but yet you can't teach yourself how to be a daddy. I don't know the demographics. I don't know the communication between the two. I don't know what took place. But what I do know is the fact is that this is a child who has absolutely nothing to do with you or Mom, who is a walking, breathing miracle. And yet, Black Guns Matter, you're not available. You're not here. You're not a part of sharing this interview. Man, I'm off you. So we done added Black Guns Matter. We're here on Instagram. Mm-hmm. Black Guns Matter. Yeah, that's corny. So, and you will see this video. You might not see this live one, but you will see the other one. We're done. Go ahead, Assiah. Let me finish talking to Mom because I'm irritated now.
Can I pay your phone?
Oh, here, Pooh. You can in there. Thank you. You can just share it. Hit share. Hit the blue button right there. Yep, they'll get it. And then I'm going to later go in and add the Assiah's information on it.
Okay.
Once it uploads.
Also, too, I want to check your information because I know when you go live, it could be for your friends. Yours need to be set on public.
It is on public.
Bam.
Yep, it's on public. Yeah, we got there. All right. But yeah, we're done. But let's finish. So, because now we're going to get a little deeper.
You know.
So, we talked about the lady. The name of the doctor. Now she's still leading. She's heading the doctor who who first initially treated Assiah. Gave the whole, who's now leading this organization. Is she in charge of this testing?
So the doctor.
How do you get this information?
The
also,
doctor that initially treated Assiah. Do you mean in terms of who prescribed the drug?
Who prescribed the drug?
So the doctor who prescribed the drug.
Important to me.
Yes, the doctor she wasn't a doctor. She was a nurse practitioner, and she worked for a clinic based out of Southwest Philadelphia at a doctor's office called Family Practice Network. Mm-hmm. There's a series of nurse practitioner coordinators that work there and facilitate care, and they're overseen by maybe 3 doctors on site, and those doctors rotate shifts. Okay. Mm-hmm. The doctors are supposed to come in and check behind them and sign off on charts whenever they see patients. However, this particular day, the doctor who was overseeing her at the time of this visit was Jennifer Hamilton. Jennifer Hamilton.
She ain't related to me. She ain't related to me.
Jennifer signed off on the chart. However, she did not consult with Jennifer when she prescribed the drug. So the morning I went in to see her, it was a regular 4-day follow-up pediatric appointment after I had delivered. I was complaining about flank pain in my back, which is, from what I understand, not unusual for a woman who had just given vaginal birth. So I said, the pain that I'm feeling, I said, it's kind of dull, it's throbbing a little bit. I said, it feels familiar to when I've had a UTI in the past. I'm not sure if that's really what it is, but I'm not having any dysuria when I urinate. Mm-hmm. So she was like, well, we'll check it. I'm going to get you to pee in a cup. Going to do a dipstick. We'll send off a culture, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, and I'll give you a prescription.
And the culture is still missing to date.
They deleted the culture from the medical chart. So, she gave me the prescription that day in my hand. And when she gave me the prescription, all I could think of in my head was a conversation that I had with my grandmother, because I told her that I was breastfeeding. And she was like, well, when you breastfeed, you got to be careful with everything that you do. You can't drink. You can't eat certain things. You can't be taking drugs, this, and that. So she handed me the prescription, and the first thing I said to her was, "Are you sure this is okay to take while I'm breastfeeding? Because you know I'm breastfeeding." And she was like, "Oh, Mom, it's absolutely fine." She had a due diligence to go check the pediatric manual. If she would have checked the drug manual, she would have seen that the drug was contraindicated.
So do you believe this stems back to her?
I don't know. Because what I can tell you, I'm going to tell you a story when Assiah was first born, which is very interesting. At the time that I gave birth, there was one of my neighbors who lived down the street from me who was pregnant too, having a daughter. She gave birth to her daughter the day after me. I gave birth on the 9th. She gave birth on the 10th. We were literally 2 doors down from each other in the same hospital. I run into her in the hall, and she's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you're here. You had your baby." I'm like, "Yeah, I had my baby. You had your baby?" "Yeah, I had my baby." And she was like, "But I'm not sending my baby to the nursery." And she was like, "They do all kinds of crazy stuff to babies here. They won't have mine by herself." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I feel you. I'm not sending my baby down there either. My baby's in the room with me." So she went to take a shower. When she went to take her shower, she pushed her baby cart in my room and said, "Can you watch my baby while I go bathe? Because I'm not leaving." I said, "That's not a problem." I watched her baby. So the next day, I'm getting out of the hospital. She comes to my room and she says, "Can I use your cell phone? Because I don't want to use the hospital phone." She said, "These people just came in here and told me some stuff about my baby got some kind of jaundice. They think she might have some type of liver problem, something. And she was like, "I'm not trying to hear that. I need to call my husband, and I'm not talking on these hospital phones." And I was like, "What?" So I let her use my phone. She went back to her room. I finished packing up my stuff. They came in my room a couple minutes later and told me the exact same story they told her about my baby. I swear to God on everything I love. I took it on the chin and I said, "Oh, okay, thank you, we're going to go." But they wanted extra blood for my baby before we left the hospital so they could run another test. They did a heel stick, took their blood, and I left. When I left and I went 4 days later to follow up with the pediatrician. That's how they found
out the rare blood type.
Because her daughter has a rare blood type too. And that's where it all began.
I'm looking at you, not in disbelief at you. This is almost like I mean, it's not even an almost. Am I lying? Like, it's like a movie. This is like,
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
This is
because
real.
It's not it.
Like she's trying to talk because she wanted to.
You're just like. There's no such thing as coincidence. And
it's
what's
much.
What's interesting is that the same way they approached her and they told her that story about her own daughter, they approached me and they told me the same story about my daughter. But then the hospital, the children's hospital right next door, is running a pediatric study and database for children with liver disease. They were soliciting children for the database. They needed subjects. How do you get a subject? You tell them they got something they don't have. Or you induce it on them.
Talking about inducing it on them. Because I heard before in another interview where you said it was intentional. That the disease was intentional.
The disease process was intentional. So when I say intentional, I mean in the sense that when she prescribed the drug and Assiah had the allergic reaction, when I took her to the hospital and they saw the disease process occurring and they saw that it was allergy related, it was intentional at that point when they decided not to treat her.
Not to treat her.
Because the continued deterioration, and I have medical letters from the doctor that he wrote to her, the girl who prescribed the drug. And this is a part of the lawsuit, that the government official worked with Children's Hospital of Philadelphia to conceal proximate cause. But this was never raised in the complaint that was filed by my attorneys, who filed an administrative claim for $40 million. How do you not raise that claim? That the government was interacting.
Gil Spencer.
Yes.
The doctor's name is Dunn.
Yes, the most recent doctor.
So, do you have an attorney now?
No, I've been litigating pro se by myself for almost 2 years now. Because every attorney that gets
So you're
involved,
representing yourself
yes.
for 2 years
Mhm.
with no law degree.
That's part of the reason why I had my law books on the table when you came in. I've been studying federal law.
This is absolutely incredible. When I said I was proud of you earlier, I would like to multiply that by 1,000.
When you are, because a lot of people
There's
will say,
people, I'm sorry, there are people who will say, she's making this up. You know, we're going to be real. There's
yeah,
people who will
absolutely.
say, she just wants money. She just wants attention. Oh, she's into, foolishness. Oh, she trained her daughter to believe. She just want. But you don't have all of this stuff, all of these pills, the books. I don't know where the books went. They were here, though. You don't have all of this stuff, okay? All of this. You don't do unless you're truly psychotic, and by then you would have already been in the street jail.
right?
Okay.
Either when it happens to you, you make a choice, and your choice is, I'm going to be engulfed and destroyed by this, or I'm going to be empowered by it. And because I want my daughter to grow up and have a great self-esteem and a great reflective image of herself, I took the higher role to say that I'm going to empower myself through this experience. And empowering myself, that means educating myself, that means learning this medicine, that means getting involved knee deep in the community and educating people about my experience and the things that we are encountering. That means also sharing my truth, whether or not people believe me. It means really embodying this experience and waking up to it every day and working every day towards what that goal is. That is my therapy. That is the only way to stay sane in this situation. The only way. Because otherwise, it's like you said, you will break. And in the beginning, it was very hard. It was very
Let's
hard.
talk about that. Let's talk about your friend that was in a hospital with you when you had the baby.
Mhm.
Are you guys still in contact with one another?
I have not talked to her in a number of years.
Is she aware of the status of
Oh
the
yeah,
son?
because at one point I had told my attorney, I said, there was another woman in the hospital with me, and she came to my room and said the same thing. I said, I would like to get copies of her medical records and to show, because they kept saying, oh, well, the baby was jaundiced at birth. She had, and 60% of babies who are born jaundiced.
Mm-hmm. The little yellow
60%,
tip.
correct. So I wanted to get her records to prove and get her testimony to prove that her baby was in the same position as mine and her child is perfectly normal and healthy.
Because she refused.
Because she refused.
Wow. Because she refused. So what happens if you at this point, you say, you know what? Because, a lot of people, go on this herbal remedies and things. What happens if you refuse these medications and you say, I don't trust you guys giving this because she's having reactions. I'm going to refuse because the last time I didn't refuse.
Child Protective Services come in and they take her out of my care. And then she becomes a ward, or the hospital facility is granted guardianship. And then they do with her whatever they
So
can.
dad couldn't then get guardianship?
If he petitioned for it. But then he would have to prove in court.
So they hold a barrel over your head?
Yes. And you have to walk a fine line in being an effective advocate, a parent, and not having your rights taken. So the way that I was able to effectively demonstrate to Child Protective Services when they stepped in that I was being an effective advocate and that I was advocating for what was in the best interest of the child as it related to her medical care was because I keep thorough records outside of the medical records. Had it not been for the communications between myself and the doctors for a number of years, discussing various diagnoses, discussing side effects from various forms of treatments that they were providing, even keeping copies of lab studies that were mixed up with her blood and somebody else's. when I was proving that the drugs were causing side effects that were extreme. The blood was mixed up with somebody else's. If it had not been for me...
How are you getting these records?
Well, I wasn't supposed to get that one. It's because I'm always diligent and I'm always following up when I'm supposed to. So we were waiting for the labs to come back when they were trying to increase the dose on the drug that was causing the injury. And I had for several days been keeping chronological records of her side effects and her symptoms and contacting the doctors, letting them know what was going on. She had been hospitalized before for the drug. So when it happened, I was waiting for the laboratory studies to come back. When the laboratory studies came back, they hadn't posted yet to her medical chart. So I kept asking them to release the results. They hadn't released the results yet. So I was tired of waiting on them. I knew we had the labs drawn at LabCorp. I wanted to find a way to get it directly from LabCorp. So I registered for a patient portal account on LabCorp. When I registered for the portal account, it populated all of the studies that she had ever had done with them. And when it populated all of the studies, the most recent blood studies that we had done populated 2 results. One was on a private account that had been run at the LabCorp company, and another one was on the account of the hospital. The one that was run on the private account showed that she was having an allergic reaction to the drug. The one run on the hospital account showed that everything was normal. And when I contacted the doctors and said, basically, what the hell is this? They were like, oh, no, I didn't contact the doctors. Before I contacted the doctors, because I already knew what type time they was on, I contacted LabCorp. And I said, I'm looking in my patient portal, and I had downloaded 2 PDF files for one specific study. They both say, and he said to me, how did you get that? That's not supposed to be on there. I have that recorded on a phone call. That's recorded. Because I don't trust them. They say one thing to you, and then the next time you having a conversation or something goes in writing, they're saying something else. So what I do is I record phone calls now. Because you're not going to say that we didn't have a discussion about something specifically. This goes for doctors. This goes for lab tech companies. This goes for lawyers. It goes for anybody that I have to have a business relationship with, because they lie and they cover things up. So after I talked to LabCorp, the guy was like, I need to get in touch with a supervisor. I'm going to have to call you back, this, and that. 40 minutes later, I get a call back from the supervisor. That's recorded too. He's apologizing profusely. I'm sorry. I don't know where this came from. There seems to be some type of mix-up. The blood tubes must have been mislabeled. We can't say for certain that this is actually hers. And because I can't say for certain, I'm not even going to say the other results are hers either. We're just going to get rid of these. And he deleted it from the patient portal chart.
Do you still have it?
Oh, I still have. I've recorded it. I screen recorded it before it came down. I printed copies of those PDF files before he deleted them down. I have all of my evidence, but these are the types of things that I'm dealing with. And nobody has no idea. So when CPS comes in, my file is already ready. Here's my file. Here's also the database that Nemours approached me about 3 months after Assiah's second transplant and asked me if I would enroll her in so they could just collect her basic data to report outcomes. But the truth of the matter is, they enrolled us in a database because they were tailoring her care specifically to look at certain disease processes on certain drugs. It was a study that they did not obtain my informed consent for. And that came out on a recorded video that I have of an hour roundtable meeting that I made them have with me. And they said, oh, Rapamune, we believe, curbs the development of fibrosis in liver transplant patients, but we have yet to prove it, but we believe strongly that that's what it does.
So you're going to make her a lab rat.
So you made my baby a lab rat. So they prescribed Rapamune in conjunction with a known liver toxin